Yeah, exactly. So how are you this week?
Good
Good.
so far.
Well, that's good. That's good. Tell me about how things went after we met last week.
Well, I did some journaling,
Good.
and I'm going to pull it up here. Let's see what I had to say. um, so I just was trying to, be curious, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, for example, one of my entries was, why did I feel the need to finish my ice cream even though I had the feeling like I had had enough? So
Okay.
I was sitting and feeling like I had a cone and it was like this much left. And I was like, I don't want to, I was thinking, I don't want to throw it away. I don't want to waste. But then in the other hand, I was like, oh, I should send a picture to Becky and say, look what I did. And
Yeah.
so I had all these things in my mind, but I just kept eating. And then, while I'm doing it, I'm like, why am I doing this? And I
Okay.
just,
So did anything come to you when you were being curious about that?
so, nope.
Nothing emotionally going on. It just tasted good. Right?
Well, I'm sure I had all kinds of emotional stuff going on. I just assume I always do, but nothing came to me at that moment. It wasn't like I was, at that moment sad or crying or
Mhm.
frustrated or,
Well, and it doesn't have to be a major something. It could just be that you're still holding on to that limited belief that more is better.
yeah.
That if it tastes good up to this point, it will keep tasting good afterwards. And it's okay just to recognize that. And sometimes you're not going to stop and then say, okay, well, was it worth it? Like when you finish the ice cream cone, was it worth it later?
Yep.
Yep. You enjoyed every bite?
Yep.
Okay, good. Then don't worry about it. Just move on. Right? Yeah, I think that's exactly what you should do. What about, I have here, I'm looking at the notes that I made for us to follow up. And I had that you were going to journal and kind of work on discovering the emotions and the thoughts behind them. So instead of like immediately knowing, okay, I have an emotion and here's what's going on, but being able to say, okay, I want to eat past when I've had enough. I'm going to use that as my cue to say what's really going on. And so you were going to practice doing that. And I wrote down here that you wanted to recognize that the desire to eat when you weren't hungry was a sign that there was a difficult emotion to cover. And you were dedicated to doing the work to figure out what that difficult emotion and thought were so that you could handle them effectively without turning to food. So just as a reminder.
Okay.
Okay, so tell me more about your journaling then. Did you have times where you were able to kind of say, okay, well, I want to eat past full. Let's figure out why.
Well, I guess I had some ideas. Um, like on that same entry about eating the ice cream, I just wrote down some ideas that it could have been. I was
What?
working on a schedule for Karen this week. Was I sad? Was I stressed about that? Um, and then on another entry, I what else is going on? Karen, Derek, Dawson. I talked to my sister about Dawson. It was a really good talk, so I felt good about it. So I don't know why it would be that. And Karen was having a good day, so I don't know why it would be that. And Derek and I talked the other day, not in depth, but just like we need to talk, and there's something going on. I said it's not bad. It's just So I don't know. I couldn't think of anything.
Well, I think if you think about just kind of take a step back instead of worrying about like, is it this exact one thing? Is it this exact one thing? I mean, sometimes it is an exact thing. I had somebody make a comment this week that all of a sudden I found myself extremely irritable, and I'd been in such a good mood for days and felt really peaceful, and all of a sudden I was irritable. I'm like, why? And I had to go back, but only about 10 minutes to something somebody had said, and I was like, oh yeah, that irritated me. And that was it. They still irritated me, and I just moved on. But there's other times when sometimes it's just kind of the conglomeration that you're dealing with a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's just well, I know Derek and I still got to talk about this, and there's still, yeah, mom's doing great today, but that's still a stressful situation, and Dawson's going to be a stressful situation for years. And, sometimes it can just be,
Mhm.
I just have that belief that that eating this is going to distract me. And sometimes it does. And sometimes that's the reason why you enjoy every bite. It's like, you know what? I got this really pleasurable thing in my life right now, and I'm just going to enjoy it. And so you won't always come up with here's a concrete reason why I feel this exact way. But sometimes you will. And sometimes it's okay to just say, I really have no idea why I feel this way, even though I've journaled about it, and move on. Just accept that, yes, I do feel this way for some reason, and decide what I'm going to do about it. And sometimes you may choose to eat anyway. Other times you may be like, oh, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm committed to not eating when I'm hungry, so I'm going to practice. I don't know. You know what I mean? So there's going to be different times you'll feel like doing different things about it, and that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, getting rid of that judgment and putting the curiosity in its place is a big deal. I know for me, I'm noticing a massive difference now that I told you my big focus right now has been on being able to speak up about how I really feel about things, or what my thoughts are and stuff. And it's amazing how much that is helping me. So for instance, the other day when somebody said something to me, I immediately said, well, I don't think that's any of their business really. I just kind of said, I was nice about it, but I was like, yeah, not my problem. And it still irritated me later. And when I thought about it, there really wasn't much more I could do about it. But I felt good about the fact that I had said what I thought needed to be said, and that it was easier for me not to eat because of that, because I was like, well, did I do what I thought I felt good about? Yeah. Do I regret any of it? No. Okay, deep breaths and just move on, So I think it's just more develop the habit of recognizing quickly when you have negative emotions and being able to deal with that, and just using that desire to eat more than your body's telling you need to as just a trigger to say, okay, what's really going on? Okay. Sometimes the warning light is going to be really important to listen to, like, your engine's out of oil and you're about to destroy your entire car. And other times it may be something as simple as, my one daughter borrowed the car of the other daughter, and the engine warning light went on afterwards. Come to find out, she had filled it with gas for her, but if you don't click the gas cap on 3 clicks, then the engine warning light comes on. So we had a panic attack and took it to the repair shop to find out, close the gas cap all the way. Right. So, it's okay. It's just listen to the signal, pay attention, find out what it is. It may be something you've got to deal with that's big, and it may be something just little. And other times it goes off and you're fine and you don't worry about it. So,
okay.
All right, cool. So anything else you want to talk about specifically that's going on with you this week?
I'm still fighting the feeling of, being not where I want to be physically, and looking in the mirror and being grossed out. I keep fighting it. Is that normal? And I just need to keep practicing.
Okay. Okay, let me make sure I understand that really well. So it's the what you're seeing that's bothering you the most. Yeah. Right? Okay.
Yeah, so yesterday I put on my t-shirt, and normally, being winter, I just put a sweatshirt on and I go about my business and I can't see anything. Well, I put a t-shirt on and I started getting ready, and I just saw myself and I was just like, gross, I'm fat, all that stuff.
Okay, so you immediately went into judging, right? Okay, so this is a great conversation because it's been on my mind a lot lately. And when you go on to like intuitive eating boards on Facebook and that kind of stuff, there is a really interesting culture that has developed there of people who, if you even talk about weight loss, they freak out. Like, you're not an intuitive eater, you're talking about weight loss, or you're not accepting yourself where you are, blah, 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 blah. But when you really study the book, it doesn't talk about that, right? It talks about wanting to be healthy, but it always says put your weight loss on the back burner. It doesn't say throw it away. It says put it on the back burner because that self-judgment that you were feeling in that moment, how did that make you feel? The judgment.
Not good. I started crying. I tried to talk to myself like it's okay, it's on the back burner, it'll happen someday, it's okay, and tried to, just be kind to myself. But I still didn't like the way I looked.
So it was hard. Yeah, it's hard to get out of the judging mode.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard to get out of it. But the judging itself is destructive, right? Like, was there a single part of you that was like, okay, I can do this. I'm going to be really careful at my next meal to give my body nourishment, and I'm going to be careful to stop when I've had enough, and I'm going to take care of my body today. Is that how you felt at the end of judging yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I am.
Did you feel it as a... That's great. That's great.
When I'm hungry, stop when I'm full.
Now, did you do that as a... But what did you feel when you were doing that? Did you do it out of a feeling of, man, I love myself and I'm worth this? Or did you do it out of a sense of, holy crap, if I don't do this, I'm going to turn into a 300-pound monster?
That one probably.
Okay. So you did it out of fear, right? Yeah. And we know we've done it out of fear a million times before, and we just know that that doesn't last. It does work, right? That's what gets people in the door of every weight loss program on the planet. Right. But we all know that 3 weeks into the weight loss program, every weight loss program on the planet, when that self-hatred has died, it turns into depression. And then we just start this circle again, right? So we feel like judging ourselves is productive because it gets you in the door. And we feel like it's better than not doing anything. But what we forget when we do that is that now we've lost that sense of self-love while we're doing it. And nobody ever changes from self-hate, ever, permanently. The way my therapist says it is you'll never get to a positive by a negative, right? So if I'm trying to get to a positive place, I have to get there on a positive path. So yeah, let's talk about it really candidly. And I'm going to be, I always want to say the right thing, especially because we record these, we put these online, blah, blah, blah. Somebody might see them. But the truth is I'm learning with you. So if I screw up, there's my disclaimer, okay? But I know for a fact that my body's not at a healthy weight yet. I know it. For a fact. I mean, you can say, yeah, your natural weight, blah, 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 blah. But we also know that when you read the intuitive eating book, it's very, very clear to explain. It doesn't talk about weight loss because not everybody who reads it and needs intuitive eating needs to lose weight. A lot of people will need to gain weight because they start underweight. A lot of people will stay about the same and they're just going to lose the obsession. And a lot of people have been medicating with food, and if they stop medicating with food, they're naturally going to go to a lower weight. But they don't want you obsessed. I mean, I can't tell you, and I know you understand this, but the years I obsessed about, am I 140, 139? Am I 139.5? And should I be 136? And it's like, oh my gosh, just relax. If I had been taking care of myself, my body would decide where it needs to be at that moment. And I could have been mentally free, and nobody on the outside world could have told the difference between whether I was 190, 195, or 140. Or, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter. Right. Health matters. And anybody who says that health doesn't matter is not being honest, right? In fact, the people who wrote this book are like the highest level of nutritionists. They care about your body and health and nutrition. We know from the word of wisdom that nutrition's important. We know that our bodies are incredible gifts. So to cast that aside completely doesn't work, right? What we're saying with intuitive eating is we're going to go at it from a positive path. We're going to get there from a place that is not condemning. We're going to get there from a place that appreciates who we are and our body and what it can do. And we're going to actually learn to take care of our body. That's the ultimate goal, right? The ultimate goal is not to stop dieting. That's just part of the path to getting to a healthy body that we love and take care of, right?
Yeah.
So recently I had an experience where, well, I'm going through an experience. I've had inflammation, chronic inflammation for decades now. And it switches. For a long time, it was my feet. And then it switched to my hips. Now it's my hips, and they give me lots and lots of grief. And I've been to 1,000 doctors, and I've had 1 million tests done, and nobody can figure out what it is. But to make a long story short, I got my medical records from a doctor, one of the last doctors that I worked with, who never got back to me after some tests were done. Found out that those tests come back and say that my blood markers are consistent with Crohn's disease. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's an actual diagnosis of Crohn's disease. I think it's like, hey, you need to pay attention to this and go do some other tests because this person might have this, right? And we have some autoimmune diseases going on in our family. My daughter's got celiac and all sorts of stuff. So I'm in the process of getting together with a new doctor that I trust, showing him my results, doing research, all this stuff. But it was interesting. I had a very big revelation that I've always known, but I've struggled to fully implement it in the intuitive eating thing because I was afraid that it would send me back into the diet mentality. And that is when, the book talks about you have to listen to your body, eat what your body wants. Well, in my mind, I wanted to pay attention to what sounds good at the moment, what I will enjoy, what tastes good, which is all excellent. But I've wanted to avoid getting to that chapter on gentle nutrition, right? I wanted to keep that in a tiny box over here and just assume that if I do all this other stuff, that my body's getting everything it needs. But as I thought about, okay, what if I really do have Crohn's disease? Or what if I don't? And I started paying attention more to the pain that I'm in all the time. And it dawned on me, isn't my body sending me all sorts of messages right now? Not just hunger and fullness, not just this is what would taste good right now, but it's also saying, oh my gosh, Becky, you got to figure out what's inflaming us because we're miserable. We're miserable. Like standing, sitting, it's all miserable. And thinking about, wow, do I really give my body the nutrition that it needs? Not that I need to stop having a cookie or ice cream or whatever, but am I really caring about my body enough to give it adequate nutrition? Do I care about it enough? The book mentions several times learning to, have protein throughout the day and making sure that you don't have like a rush of sugar so that your sugars are spiking up and down and all that kind of stuff. And I realized I feel like I'm understanding the book even more and more and more because I feel like I've just gotten to that point now, literally like this week, where I honestly care about that and can still do the intuitive eating thing. All along, I was really afraid, okay, if I focus on that, there's no way I will be right back in diet mode. And I believe that, and I think I was probably right. But this last week, it's been interesting as I've been having that on my mind. My brain now is saying, okay, I feel like it's easier for me to pay attention to, am I really hungry? Before it was like, yeah, I'm getting hungry and eat and casual or whatever. But now I'm like, okay, part of what my body's telling me is, please don't feed me more than we need. Let's have a break between, really listen to us. If we're not telling you it's time to eat yet, trust us. Hang back. Let us take care of doing what your body needs. And then when it's time to eat, I'm also thinking to myself, okay, what would not only taste great, what would not sound really good to me, but also what's going to make sure that I don't get a sudden spike in sugar and then a drop? What's going to make sure that I actually have some nutrients that if I've got some sort of thing going on, it might have the nutrients to repair some stuff. So I'm starting to think in those terms. And what I'm finding is I feel like I took a next step in being an intuitive eater this week. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel better. I have no idea what it's done to my weight because I'm staying off the scale. But I noticed my ring, I have a pinky ring that I keep on my left hand, usually right here, and it was falling off. So I slid it over to my right hand because my right hand is bigger. that I haven't noticed anything else, but I noticed that I'm not really, I don't know how to put this into words exactly. You know how you feel good about how you're doing because you're not being obsessive and you're doing so much better and you've got this mental peace going on that's so awesome, but in the back of your head you kind of know that whatever you ate that week is probably keeping you about the same weight. This week I feel like I can sense that the way I'm eating is actually good for my body, and that my body is, if I keep this up and make this my life, that my body can't help but go to a healthy weight. And I think it's one of the first, I hate to say this out loud, but I think it's one of the first times I've been completely confident that I'm in that place, physically as well as the emotional stuff, right? But I think I would never have gotten to where I could do this if I hadn't found the mental peace with food first. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a monologue for you. So first of all, tell me what you're thinking, and then let's just brainstorm what we should do with you. But tell me what you're thinking so far about what I said, and feel free to contradict me on anything that doesn't seem right.
I'm just thinking about what you were saying. Do I care enough about my body to want to put nutritious things into it? Because I feel like I'm still on this binge of cookies and ice cream and whatever I can get, but it's not when I'm hungry and stopping when I'm full. I just feel like I'm in a continuous binge.
Okay, so that
and
means
I don't know if I get to a point sometimes, like yesterday. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So like yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but probably in a bad way or whatever, because I was tired of it and the judging and stuff. I'm gonna eat when I'm hungry and I'm gonna stop when I'm full, and yet, I forgot about that and ate candy all day watching Conference. Like, I don't feel like I put any nutrient my body.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care.
No, I totally get that. And I think, well, no, I know that that's normal, but I also know that's not the end of the process, right? That it is a place to be in the process, but you haven't gotten to the end. So I don't want you to get discouraged. You haven't, I know only because I keep progressing and going, oh, well, this is cool. Right? Yeah, somehow we keep freezing up a little bit. Are you getting that on your end?
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
My connection.
It just kind of proved my point. I just said, I think we're freezing up once in a while on the video.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll try to just keep going, but if it pauses too long, let me know.
All right.
I think, it's interesting. The mentality that you had where you're doing it out of fear, that's a diet mentality. That's, I've got to do this, or it's all about how I look in my weight, right? Mm-hmm. I think as we keep progressing, then it becomes the intuitive eating mentality that is more about self-love and self-care, right? I was thinking recently about the words respect and being careful about what I eat and how that's different from being restrictive. So careful means literally being full of care, right? There's nothing like thinking you have Crohn's disease and looking up what the treatments for that are and looking up what the destiny of your life will be, if that's accurate, going, oh crap, now I got to take it seriously, right? Now I realize, oh, the nutrition does mean a ton, right? And it just kind of opened my eyes to like, okay, what's the difference between being careful and being restrictive? If I'm careful, I'm really caring for. All right, well, let's see. Yesterday, we had some licorice around, we had some cheese and crackers, we always do a conference casserole breakfast tradition at our house. And these conference casseroles, one of them is totally an excuse to have dessert for breakfast. And oh yeah, and it's tradition. And I really wanted it. And I knew that was something I was going to choose to have. And so I did, and I savored every bite. And it was interesting because of the changes that have gone on in here. I was able to enjoy every bite. And when I was done, I was totally done. And I didn't care for any more the whole rest of the day. In the old days, it was like, conference casserole, we're never going to have this and for another 6 months. So, we had for breakfast, we had it for lunch, we ate leftovers for dinner. We were like sugared out by the time, plus we ate snacks all through General Conference. Well, the changes I'd made it so that, yeah, I did enjoy that, but I really didn't want it all day long. And I considered, which is respect, right? Respect means, respect is to respect, like spectacles, we look, and respect is look again. So think about how it's going to affect you, look at it again. So by respecting myself and how it would affect me and being careful about how it would affect me, I was able to make some balanced choices. Was having dessert for breakfast going to be completely caring for my body? Nope. But it was also important enough to me in that day that that's something I want to do with my family. I'm not going to skip that for that. And I really wanted it. So I did. But I also cared enough about me to go, and I need some nutrition throughout the day, and I want to make sure I'm listening to my hunger and fullness and so, it was just really interesting the way the rest of the day went. It took me forever to get hungry again after that breakfast. Probably my body was like, okay, you chose to eat it. That's plenty of calories. We're not hungry for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then I had some cheese and crackers. And I think late at night we had one other little snack before going to bed because I was hungry by then. But it was interesting how having that sugary breakfast was a part of caring for myself because it included here and here. But I didn't forget about my body. Right? So it was like kind of mixing it in. You look very confused.
I guess I'm not there. I don't.
No, and it's okay. It's okay. I guess what I'm saying is, how it says that it puts the gentle nutrition part at the very end of the book because they don't want you worrying about it until you get the mental, emotional stuff under control. What I'm saying now is I actually get that now. I'm seeing how it fits in.
It's so frustrating. Like, when am I going to get there?
Day by day.
It's taking forever.
I know. I wish there was anything I could do that would make the process as quick as some stupid diet commercial tells you it should be. Right? What I can promise you is that every time you challenge a limiting belief, you're closer. And every time you choose to listen to your body and respect that out of love for yourself, you're closer. Right? And it just happens day by day by day. And I honestly didn't know how long it would take me to lose the rest of this weight because the same thing. We're like, okay, well, I'm listening. Here's what I feel like. I'm eating when I'm hungry. I'm stopping when I've had enough. But I still knew that I wasn't really losing weight. And I was surprised as anyone else. Well, you know how the lesson, when lessons finally hit you, you don't really see them coming. You get some paradigm shift. You get something that opens your mind and your spirit. And you're like, oh, I get that now. But you can't get that until you get the lesson before that.
Right.
The lesson that comes before that. So let's talk realistically. And again, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, I don't have all the exact answers. So this is true coaching here. We're going to find out what you really feel in your heart, in your gut. Listen to the spirit, listen to what makes sense to you at the moment. And we're going to work through, what do we want to do? Where do we want to be? And if we make mistakes, we're going to correct them as we go. right? So we're not going to panic. Tell me all the things, first of all, that you feel like your body is actually saying to you. Not the social world, not your eyeballs looking in the mirror. What do you feel that your body is saying to you?
I don't know if I know what you mean. Like, give me an example.
Do you have any aches or pains that are caused by this?
No.
You're so lucky. That's so awesome. Okay, no aches or pains. How about energy level?
That's fine.
Energy level is good. Okay. How about, I'm trying to think of what other things could your body possibly have? No heartburn, you got nothing like that. Okay, so that's really important to pay attention to, because if you were seriously abusing your body, it will let you know. At least over time it will, for sure, right? So first of all, let's put that on our list of things to be grateful for. Okay? Because honestly, having chronic pain is a nightmare. So you're going to say no chronic pain or energy issues, etc. Things to be grateful for. Yay. So even if something as simple as being grateful for that this week and appreciating that your body functions really well, even though we haven't maybe treated it the best we could. It still has functioned really well. That's a good body, right? Okay. Also, knowing what kind of things do you, if you were to sit down with the Savior and you were going to sit down and talk about your body and the gift that he's given you, how would that conversation look?
Well, I would hope that I would, be grateful that I have all my body parts and they all work and they function and I can do so many things and I've had babies and I can cook and clean and, do all those things. But deep down inside, I still don't like parts of it. And I hope that I wouldn't say that to him because he gave this to me and I am grateful. But
well, he would know anyway. Whether you said it out loud or not. Right? So first, you would be grateful. Okay? So can we make that one of the things we're focused on this week, is actually being grateful for all the things your body does. In fact, one of the things that helped me was being grateful. You're gonna laugh. I had to be grateful that I was fat, because what that meant was that when I put too much food in my body functioned exactly the way it was supposed to. And instead of killing me, instead of letting all that sugar go straight to my heart or wherever else, it stored it away and said, we might need this for later. It's too much for now. She doesn't need that much right now. I'm going to pack this over here on her butt. Make sure that she has extra for later, which means my body's functioning perfectly. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Right? And so the way I was grateful for that is in realizing, oh my gosh, I have abused the heck out of this body for decades. And yet it has taken it. It's like that old Timex commercial. It's taken a licking and keep on ticking. Right? So despite my abuse, my body has handled it pretty dang well. So I actually had to be grateful that it's handled my abusing it in exactly the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
Which sounds weird, but.
Sorry, I keep moving locations.
You're okay. So just being grateful, starting from a place of being grateful. You cannot come from a place of fear if you're coming from a place of being grateful. They don't work together.
Right.
You can't hate your body and love your body at the same time.
Right.
Okay, so now let's pretend you're with the Savior. You actually thought about, he's opened up to your mind what a cool gift your body is. And you go to him and you say, okay, Jesus, my body's broken. Look at this. It's faulty. And he says, actually, Mitzi, it's working exactly like I programmed it to. It's working exactly like it should, right? And you go, okay, well then I'm broken. which is how it feels, right? So where would the conversation go? What advice would he give to you?
Well, if I feel like I'm broken, then I need to work on my spiritual, emotional self.
Okay.
Which is what I've been doing, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's a slow process.
Yeah. So what would he tell you? What would he actually say?
I have no idea.
What would you say? What would you say if somebody came to you and said, yeah, what would you say if somebody came to you and said the same thing? I'm broken. I can't do this.
Keep going. Don't give up. Have patience.
Okay. What else?
Pray. Read your scriptures.
Okay, so pray means let me help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how could Christ help you with this one?
Well, he could just heal me. He could drop 20 pounds.
Oh man, I wish he worked that way. I so wish he worked that way. Unfortunately, he has this thing about our stupid growth. I don't know. So what else might he actually choose to do?
I don't know. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
What could he do for you, though?
No. I don't know.
I'll tell you what he has done for me that I could not do myself. And that includes my story about this week. Is he can open up our minds to see more clearly.
What does that mean? Like more like an eternal perspective?
It can be every perspective. So for instance, this week, my mind was very much open to, oh, wow, by not giving the nutrition I need to my body, it's struggling. It's struggling. And so my brain was like, oh, I get it. I actually need to care for this body. And he can actually change your heart, right? In fact, that's one of the few things I've discovered that I can't change for myself. I can change a behavior. I can like white knuckle it and do anything. Well, supposedly, but he is the one that seems to change my heart and help me want to do it rather than have to do it. Mm-hmm. So this paradigm shift I've had this week, suddenly I'm caring about, well, did I get any fruits and vegetables in with this meal? Right? Like I'm not taking away if I want to have a cookie afterwards, but I'm more concerned about now, am I actually getting the variety that my body needs? That did not come from me. That came from having my brain and my heart opened and be like, oh, wow, I didn't see that before. I did not see that before. And once you see it, once it's clear, you can't not see it. Mm-hmm. Right? And so that's something that I feel that he's done for me. And so changing the beliefs that we're still hanging on to is what he can help us do. He can change our hearts and minds. And once our hearts and minds are changed, getting to where we need to be physically is not an issue. Right? I mean, if you suddenly believed, think about this. If right now I could wave a wand and you did not believe anymore that the last 3 or 4 bites of an ice cream cone would make you happier. If that belief just disappeared. And instead you believe like, oh, if I really listen to my body, the minute it tells me it's enough, that's like the perfect time to stop, because anything after that, it's never been worth it. If I stop too soon, then I'm hungry again too soon. But man, if I really listen to my body, I'm like so perfectly satisfied. If I could like program that belief into your brain, how would your whole life change after that?
Yeah, it would just come. It would automatically get to where it needs to be.
Exactly. And there wouldn't be a need to diet, right? There wouldn't be a need to diet. There wouldn't be a need to like turn this into something rigid and to hate yourself and to do all that.
Right.
But so those are the things that we need spiritual help on, right? We need help, help me see where my limiting beliefs are. Specific prayers. Okay, Heavenly Father, I'm right in the middle of this ice cream cone and I don't want to stop, but my body's telling me I've had enough. Help me understand why I want to keep going. And please take away the desire to keep going. Right? Help me learn that. Help it to stick in my heart. Help me to understand why. What are the beliefs I have that make me want to keep eating sweets all day long? Because there's a belief in there, whether it's about the food itself, whether it's about me, whether it's about my relationship with my son or my mother-in-law or my husband. There are beliefs in there that are getting in the way of me living my fullest life. And I'm really having a hard time getting in tune with them. I'm having a tough time recognizing them. Could you just show me today? Show me one today. Today, sometime when I really want to do this, would you help me figure out what stupid belief I'm hanging on to that I need to let go? Right? And then let him. That means, the next time you really, really want to keep eating, take a minute and ask him for help before you keep eating. Every time I talk to you, I forget my other little notebook in the other room, but I've got a little notebook I told you about, a little pink one. And I carry it around with me, right? I don't carry it around the house because I know where it is if I need it, but I throw it in my bag and I take it when I'm going to meetings. I take it when I go to lunch. I take it everywhere because it's been really helpful for me in the last couple months to identify what's going on in my brain. As I'm trying to figure out, okay, I'm not really speaking up for myself, but I don't even know what I'm thinking half the time. I know I'm just mad. So it really helps me to pull it out, in a bathroom stall sometimes. Or when I'm sitting next to someone and they're watching TV and they have no idea I'm writing about how frustrated I am with them right then. And I can just quickly say, okay, Heavenly Father, I'm feeling this. Help me figure it out. And I'll just quickly, okay, I am going to identify it as my feeling. Fine, I accept that I'm feeling really angry right now, or I'm really sad right now, or whatever. And why do I feel this way? What am I going to attribute it to? Okay, Heavenly Father, why am I feeling this way? And let him help you. Oh yeah, well, remember so-and-so said something 2 minutes ago that really made you mad. Or, and along with that feeling of being resentful, you also feel guilty. Why do you feel guilty? Oh, because I was kind of a jerk when I said this back. Or because maybe they're right a little bit and I don't want to admit that. And pretty soon I'm starting to recognize all the sources of why I feel the way I do. And then the last step is action. What am I going to do about it? Am I going to go in the kitchen and get a bowl of cereal? Am I going to talk to that person about how I feel? Am I going to let it go? Am I going to whatever? And by the time I'm done, and I bring Heavenly Father into that conversation, right? Not formally. I guarantee I rarely go get on my knees over it. But I'll just say, okay, Heavenly Father, help me with this. And then I start writing, But those are the things that we need help changing, because I promise you, once you let go of those beliefs that are keeping you trapped in that mentality of food is my best friend, and you suddenly realize, oh crap, it's not. Like, I have better friends. I have Heavenly Father. I got Becky. I've got other things I can do that really are more enjoyable. Then it won't be hard to give up the extra food. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the nutrition part, just consider caring for yourself, being careful in that way. Think about respecting yourself and caring for yourself, along with all the principles we're talking about. When you're picking lunch, if cookies are what sounds good to you, then also say, okay, I get that cookies sound really good to me. Also, is there a way that I could care for myself a little better than that? Could I put a sandwich with that cookie? Could I eat the sandwich first and see if, maybe I don't want quite so much cookie because at least I'm not trying to feel physical hunger with it, right? Could I make sure that I put a piece of fruit with my lunch? In fact, maybe that would kind of help curb some of my sweet thing. And then if I still want the cookie, I can have the cookie. What can I do to care about myself and respect myself while also, giving myself the freedom to not restrict types of food and not get caught up in crazy diet land?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. And the truth is, Mitzi, you have a massive lot of stuff on your plate right now. You have for months, right? Many, many months. When did Derek start in the bishopric?
July.
Yeah, many months.
And Dawson had his cardiac arrest in February
Of the previous year.
That's when it started. So it's been a year.
It's been a year. So he had the and he was giving you emotional issues before that.
Yeah.
So you combine that with the bishopric, with your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
It's just a big load. And so sometimes you're going to sit down to write out your feelings, and it may feel like you're writing out the same ones over and over and over and over. And it's okay, because even if you just recognize, oh, it's that again, right? It's that one. Then if you can quickly recognize, the faster you can recognize that, then, you're in the middle of a grocery store and you feel like buying a candy bar to eat before you get home so nobody sees the wrapper. Been there 1,000 times. You can quickly, when you've done that enough, you can quickly say, oh, what's going on? Yeah. Okay. I'm feeling overwhelmed about this again. Do I really want the candy bar? Maybe, maybe not. That's when you can say a prayer and be like, okay, what can I do to really care for myself? Is there something else that's going to actually take care of me? Because this candy bar I know isn't going to work. Heavenly Father, help me think of something else.
Okay.
For me, I love sparkling water. Most of the world thinks it's horrible, but I love sparkling water. But that's something that is a little indulgent treat for me that has zero guilt. And I can grab one of those at the store and feel like I took care of myself and leave the other one behind. Or, sometimes I give myself a nap because I'm just exhausted and the problems aren't going to go away and I just need a break. Sometimes I stop working and I put on dry bar comedy for a minute and listen to something funny because I'm sick of working, But you'll find more and more ways that really do nourish your soul, and you'll stop having so much faith in food which does not nourish your soul. But it's the best substitute we knew what to do with before.
Yeah.
It's an internal thing. I so wish it were just a diet program. Then we would have all joined 1,000 years ago and there'd be no more diet programs on earth because we would all be thin again.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you, that's not a good way of saying it. How can you love yourself and appreciate yourself this week? As an action, as a feeling, whatever comes to you.
Well, one thing you said is to be grateful for the good things for my body, what are all the things that I can do.
Yeah, so gratitude, just making a conscious effort to be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that can help.
What was your question? Sorry.
How can you
Okay.
love and appreciate yourself this week? Be gentle with yourself.
Well, what I really want to do is to listen to my body and eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm full.
Excellent. So we're going to practice it.
Yeah.
Not a one of us is perfect at it. Not a one is perfect, but you get more perfect as you practice. So keep practicing that.
Okay.
And when you struggle, use that as your university. That's your chance to sit and learn from that. Okay, I'm struggling. Why? That's like ding, ding, ding. There's a belief popped up right here, and here's your chance to identify it right now. Don't let that chance go without identifying it.
Okay.
Right? That's like having a university class and the teacher's right in front of you, and you could so learn all about what you need to learn. But we're like, you know what? I'm just not in the mood right now. And later on at 3 o'clock, then I'll be like, oh, now I want to listen to the lecture. Oh, the lecture's not there anymore. So listen when the lesson's right in front of you.
Okay.
Right? I'm sure I've already told you this before, but some of these speeches I'm giving that are coming up, I'm calling it pain can be the pathway to peace. And that is one of the biggest lessons I've learned about in this food thing, is that moment of pain, that moment of, ooh, but I want to keep eating right now. And that's painful. That's emotionally painful right there. That is the moment you can be like, oh, but if I learn right now, I will make such huge progress.
Yeah.
Such huge progress.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we blow it and we decide not to learn the lesson. And then we just move on. But man, the more you can do that, the quicker the progress.
Okay.
And keep speaking up for the things you need. Finish having the talk with Derek about what kind of things you need, and voice, when you feel sad about your mother-in-law or Dawson, have some time where you guys can get away and you have someone you can vent to about your life. If your husband can't do it, find a girlfriend you can go vent to. You just got to have a way to be able to express what's really going on inside of us all the time, or we just have to numb those awful feelings with food.
Yeah.
At least we're not alcoholics.
Yeah.
Right? That's sometimes I think, well, I could be way, way worse.
Yeah.
Way harder. Socially, sometimes I used to think, man, if I were just a drug addict, at least I'd be skinny. Which is how sick and twisted my way of thinking is. Okay. Any other goals you want to work on this week, or just focus on that?
Yeah. I think
it's the hardest goal there is, really.
Yeah.
When you've spent like a whole lifetime putting yourself down and hating yourself, that has to change in order for you to feel that improvement, right? Think about if one of your kids came to you and they hated themselves. That just breaks our heart when our kids feel that way. Breaks our heart so bad. And it's easy to see how the first thing they have to shift is appreciating and being gentle with themselves so that they can progress in wherever they need to progress. It doesn't mean they don't have weaknesses somewhere that need to be worked on. It just means, you gotta be gentle on yourself so that you can move forward. There's that stupid call that comes all the time. And we're the same way. We're the exact same way. We have to get past the self-hatred in order to be able to make progress on the other stuff. And you're doing great. You're doing great. The emotional changes have to come first, and you're doing that. And you're working on it.
Okay.
What are your thoughts right now?
Just, I know I'm progressing and I know I'm doing better. I'm impatient right now. just tired.
Mhm.
Just want it to come.
Mhm.
So
Maybe that's one of the things you can pray for, is just help me see the progress I've made,
good.
you know? Help me see differently. Those old beliefs are just as stubborn as can be sometimes.
Okay, I have a lot of things to work on.
Okay. Reach out anytime you want. If you want to, you know, if you're in a store and you need to do your IAAA and send me a quick text, you know, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, here's what I need to do about it. Do it. You know, whatever you got to do to get additional help, you don't have to do it alone.
Okay.
Okay, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for you as a friend, not just as a coach.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we didn't talk about anything that's on the lesson stuff, so we'll just say sounds good. In fact, you know what? Just looking at the trying to see. Maybe I'll save that. Do you want the food for thought this week, or do you want me to save it to go with next week's lesson?
You can save it, I guess. So it'll go with it.
Well, we're still following up on finishing through the most common questions and stuff that come at the end of the book, and then the food for thought thing, talking about when you find yourself resisting the process of change. We talked about with the stone, you know, how can you become a softer stone? How can you choose to change rather than feeling like you're being changed? So I'll let you
that goes along with what we talked about.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to post it then.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right. I'll wait to hear from you, see how you're doing. You're in my prayers.
All right, thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.